Buenos noches, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for round 9. More than halfway through the season now. League of Europe, Division 2, as always. I am QVR_killer_. Joined by, shall we say, the brooding, ponderous, reflectful, mournful tones of Ariel J. Cole, who had his race rear-ended in Division 1. And I swept through for a dramatic and brilliant P8 finish. Jack, how are you, sir, other than league racing career in the mud?
Yeah, no, I'm all good. I'm excited to see how this is going to go for this evening. As you say, we're now halfway through the season, in season number 9. So yeah, I'm just kind of intrigued to see how this race is going to go. I think we're going to have a completely sort of different story from what we had last week, but then also have something similar to what we had a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, we'll see how it's going to go down, I think.
I apologise for saying your league racing career is in the mud. It's not, because it's not your fault. It's other people can't drive. I should clarify that is the problem here. I think driving standards has actually been... Well, Rudy's not in D1, so in a sense they're better, but also I don't think they're amazing. And I think, Jack, could we be getting, as I've got no audio whatsoever in game, a wet race, because they seem quite slow out of the pits? Could there be some setup changes going on?
Definitely could be, or everyone just thought that they just kind of wanted to hold back in the pits for a little bit. I don't know, we'll see. It could be the case that it could be a wet race, I suppose. Time will tell, or we'll get told at some point if that is the case. But as far as we're concerned, it's looking dry all the way through, and I think that's the way it's just going to remain. Although I know that in Division 1, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, in Division 3, there were obviously some spots of rain. In D1 it was qualifying, but in D3 I think they actually might have had a little bit in the race, again, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, I don't know how this is going to go down. We'll see if Division 2 is going to be getting any sort of wet spots anywhere. I don't know. If it is the case it is wet though, then I feel like it's then got a lot more to play for, because a lot of people would tend to say that this track is a wheel heavy track. But if there was rain, then I suppose it kind of evens out the playing field, and I mean, yeah, that's all there really is to it. It's just even out the playing field, and then it allows maybe a couple of those extra pad drivers like our championship leader to come back into play with that. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes tonight, Jake, I reckon.
We will see how it goes, indeed. And sorry, I wasn't able to listen to what you were saying because I was having to tinker with my audio mix, but I'm sure it was absolute gold. Because for some reason, I had mute car audio when we came out of the pits. I did have a bit of a panic there. But let's go on board with Ariel Coxey ploughing into turn 2 there. And 3 and 4 arrive at you very quickly. Easy to spit the car out there. Particularly in the race, we saw a couple of moments there in D1. I had one there myself. Brian goes some way wide of the apex of turn 6, that is, second part of the Villeneuve chicane, and then Toza, where Michael Schumacher famously did not see Juan Pablo Montoya back in 2004 there, flipped the car into Piratella's 6th gear, run the car out as wide as you can, bring it back to the left, flick it into Minerali, downhill and then uphill, 4th gear, pick the throttle up nice and early, use all the curb inside to settle the car down, and then chuck it absolutely full beans into the Variante Alta here. Easy for the car, just to slide a little bit under you. Coxey's done a good job there. We can't neglect to mention, as you can see on the left of your screen, Evans Joshua, a potential championship challenger, has died at Villeneuve on his first episode. He'll be starting at the back of the grid for the 3rd or 4th week in a row now. But Coxey, short dash to the line, stayed the right hand side for a nice short run. A 16-1, which I'll be honest, I don't think he's going to be particularly quick. We've got Lix arriving up the line now. Felipe, championship leader, does a 15.996, also not an amazing lap. But Lix, P2 a 16.081, and RJ with a 16.174. Maybe that 15.9 is okay, because the other times aren't looking particularly sharp. But although I say that, Jack and Lifepout does a 15.7. I think he is really a standout from the last few races. Won dominantly at Canada. I think this man is the bigger threat to Felipe for the rest of the season. I don't think it's Larky or Evans or Koskapin. I think it's Lifeboat.
Yeah, he's definitely made his presence known within those guys that are in this championship battle for sure. So ever since getting promoted from Division 4 straight into Division 2, like you say, he's definitely made his mark. So yeah, we'll see how he fares on. Koskapen though going on top with a 15.574, I mean about a tenth and a half up ahead of Lifebout. So this is what I was saying, you know, there's going to be a lot of people that are on a wheel in comparison to being on powered. Obviously, other than Koskapen, he's on a powered as well. But, you know, guys like, I'd want to say RJ, Chris, T-Brum, you know, those guys that are on a wheel, I feel like are going to be a bit more beneficial in this race in comparison to guys that are on a controller. That, of course, I know of. I mean, there could be a couple other people on here that are on a wheel that I don't know of. But yeah, I think it's going to be a lot more beneficial with people that are on a wheel for tonight. And yeah, I mean the times kind of are showing it at the moment. Other than Koskapen being the outlier and Felipe, both of those guys being in the only 2 out of the 3 in the 15s that are on a controller. I don't know if Lifebout is or not, but yeah, it's definitely not tight at the top, but from 3rd downwards, all the way down to 9th. In fact, both of them 2 AlphaTauris. Very sort of close in times, just over 0.2 of a second. So yeah, there's still a lot to play for. Any sort of little extra margin that they can all get within there, as obviously we've all finished, or a majority of people have finished their first set of laps. I think Taupe might be our next one to come across the line. I'm saying that Dari's in fact just come across the line and chucked it into P5. He's also one that we also need to keep our eye out for, getting demoted from Division 1 down into Division 2. Keeping his green colours in the Aston Martin, and yeah, P6 is the best he's got so far. Taupe going 1,000th up ahead of our championship leader. He's started to impress a little bit over the past few weeks as well, Jake.
Yeah, a couple of nice tight laps from the IRT lads. I think there's a little bit more time in that Dari. Lap was clean, it was solid, but he wasn't really wringing the neck of the car at that point. We haven't got anyone on a lap right now. We have got ERT Larkin. Messed up his first effort. I think he's going again on his second. He is, because he's got ERS in use. So clearly he choked a little bit at turns 1, 2, 3 perhaps, and now backed off, saved some earth, and is gone again on the same set of tyres. So he's out of sync with the rest of the field. Man who's second in the championship right now, and he's bailed on this lap as well. He's going to come into pits. Wasn't invalid, just wasn't particularly quick. And while we've got this little interlude, let's quickly go through our championship standings, because you mentioned our championship leader. We don't want the Division 1 ones. They are irrelevant. We are in Division 2. And our leader is Ariel Felipe. He has got 123 points, stands with a 26-point lead over ERT Larkin. So were Felipe to fail to finish and Larkin to win and take fastest lap, he would only take the lead in the championship with Larkin on countback, having won two races if he were to win today. Koskapen is third on 91 points, 85 for Lifebout. He's flying up the order. 61 of his 85 points have come in the last 2 rounds, which is just staggering, with the sprint race at Bahrain. Of course, 70 for Taupe, 68 for Luke, 57 for RJ. Reservoir's on 46, he's absent today. T-Bram on 42, had an unspectacular season minus that win at Monaco. And then 39 for Scream, 34 for Alex, he's promoted, 32 for Miami, who isn't here. I think that's it for today's races. 23 for Chris, 17 for Sen. Lix is on 13. Lix has looked quick, but hasn't really turned anything in it. But speaking of quick, let's have a look then at our championship leader. Ariel Felipe looked nice and hooked up through the first part of the lap. And let's see what his first set time is looking for. You want to be looking around a low 24 here, 24.1, 24.2. He's done a 24.6. And just from on board, I don't know if you were on board, Jack, but that did not look like Felipe was really pushing the limits there. He looked like he was driving well within himself.
Yeah, I wasn't watching on board, unfortunately. I was actually watching Marcio, because he just come across the line to complete that and putting it down into 14th position. I think he's having a bit of a dodgy season for himself as well. But yeah, I mean, Felipe's still about a 10th down on his time. Maybe it's a third sector where he could look to make up that time. He has indeed out of turn at number 5, but yeah, Nolan's still only got 2 more corners left to go. As I said, just the 2 90-degree left-handers, and we'll see if he's able to improve. Like I said, it could have been this sector where it was just a bit of a downfall for him, so we'll see what Nolan's able to do as he comes up towards the line. It is an improvement of over a 10th and a bit up in the P3, but if you think about the sector times that he had within first sector and second sector, it could have been up ahead of Lifebout, in all honesty, Jake. I mean, Yeah, I think it was a 0.17 he was down in the first and second sector. So yeah, he definitely could have had a time above Lifebout. So it gives Lifebout something that he needs to look forward to. As RJ, I mentioned him, did mention him. He does seem to be a little bit of a specialist around him, but up onto pole so far, just pipping out his teammate. But of course, there are others out on a lap, and Lifebout is 3/10 up on his time.
Let's check in with him. Coxey was also 3/10 up on his time coming through the second sector. By the end of the lap, he was only a 10.5 up, so he's also one who could slip into that realm of where Felipe is the 15.8. Let's see what Lifebout can do. 3/10 would find him provisional pole position ahead of both Red Bulls, and he finds it by some margin, a 15.225 for the Iraqi. And we've got Koskapen just starting a lap, so check in with him later on. Tope's not improving on the first sector of his second effort. Let's have a look at Darry. He had a good first lap as well, coming through the Villeneuve chicane. He's done a 24.3, only up by 200s in the first sector. Anyone else on an improvement? Luke's coming to the line now, but he's invalid. He was up by a few hundreds, but only a few hundreds. That screen, he's going to be in the next across the first sector split. That looked nice and hooked up through Villeneuve, and he's up by 3/10 through the first sector. That screen, that will only find him right now exactly 0 positions. So let's check back with Koskapen, because he's a quarter of a tenth up, of 24.4 through the first sector. Now down the hill of Aqua Minerale. Lovely sequence of corners, the absolute delight to drive. I think my best part of the track, I think, from a enjoyment point of view. But he's lost the quarter of a tenth he had, and now he's quarter of a tenth down instead. But that looked really nice through the chicane of Ariantielta. The car didn't slide underneath him, and I think this could be a good lap. Look at that from Chris. We never see Chris up at the sharp end of qualifying, but you mentioned we could see some different names, Jack. A 15.4, an Ariel Tebrum with a 15.4 as well. They're starting to stretch the legs here. Let's see what Koskapen can do across the line. Can he dislodge his teammate or anyone? He goes P2 with a 15.3. The Red Bulls looking very sharp today, Jack.
Yeah, it certainly is. Just watch the screen as well. He's just come across the line and put it into P14 as well. Sen, I believe, is also, he came across the line and put it into P15. I thought, it was P14, but Scream, of course, then improved by, ahead of him by 0.03 of a second. Matty looked like he was on a very good lap and then sort of looked to disband on that. Maybe just made some sort of mistake in the middle part of the lap as well. But I'll tell you what, there are 2 drivers here that look like they're out of sync with everyone. That one being Marcio and the other one being our championship leader. He's gone back out on another outlap, so either he's gone for the softer option, or this is looking like this could be his last qualifying run, because this is his 3rd run and it's on a fresher set of tyres. So he's either, as I said, he's either got the softer option and has 4 sets of these soft tyres, or this will be his last run that he can do, where he'll probably look to improve. He could probably still go out on another set of softs, but may not look to improve on that one. But I'm just checking on board with Marcio at the moment. 4.5 tenths up on his time. He has only done a 16.811 as the Portugueseman, so he needs to, of course, find a little bit more time within sector 2 and sector 3. As I say that, though, he's gone into the wall and his front wing has completely gone.
So it has. Pirouettes round, Pirotella does a little donut, and he's back going the right way. So let's check in, as you said, with Felipe. He's gone very out of sync with the rest of the field. I wonder, I don't think he's gone for the softer option. I think he's just wanted to get his lap out of the way, minus some traffic, and he's sensibly done that. But I feel like being the only one on track right now on a lap, he'll know all eyes are on him in terms of in the garage, on stream as well. I wonder if he'll feel a little bit extra pressure. Now, I always feel a little bit of extra pressure when I know if I'm first out on track in qualifying session. I know I'm on stream. It does. I don't know if I'm chatting rubbish, but it does weigh on you a little bit. I think you are aware of it as you go around. But he's found a 10.5 in the first sector, which already would put him up to P6 if he maintains that for the rest of the lap. So it's a good basis to build from Felipe. And all that looked really hooked up through Aqua Minerale. The rear not stepping out of him as it is wont to do on occasion. Up by nearly 4 tenths now. Skittles his way over the curbs, runs a little bit wide, has to pick up and collect the pieces a little bit on traction. The car just wanted to get away from him. He'll lose a little bit of speed now on the run all the way down here to Ravazza 1. Use the curb on the outside, open up the corner as much as you can. 3rd gear, kick it into, I use 5th through Ravazza 2 there, but Felipe staying in 4th with his auto gears. And then the run to the line, and what's this going to be? A 15.6. He goes P6, just edges out Larkin. I said just, 5 Ps just a second. but he did lose a little bit of time there. That chicane was a little bit scruffy, and still, no one else is out on track.
Yeah, so Nolan's still the only one out on track as we're just waiting for the final part of qualifying to go as well. But any sort of surprises here, Jake? I mean, as I say, I know Koskapen being up in second for me, I'd probably say is the biggest surprise. As I say, this is more of a track that's suited to, or that's designated for a wheel driver. So for Koskapen to be up in the second is quite an impressive feat for sure. So yeah, anyone that really sort of sticks out to you that's making a bit more, that's a bit impressive for you?
I mean, I'd point to the man below him, ET8 Chris, who is, well, he's been D3 champion, but wheel or not, I think he's been fairly anonymous all season. So, he's got an input device advantage here. I think it's still a mighty impressive lap to just pop up and go P3 with a clear P3. It's third by 1/10 of a second, which is quite a lot in league racing when you've got close grids like this. So, I'm particularly impressed with him. Let's see who's first out on track. It is a Haas of Marcio. Who stands out for you? Anyone other than Koskapen? I think Luke is a standout for me. Though he's on a pad, P17, it's a pretty shocking effort by him so far. And I know Felipe beforehand, earlier today, he said to me he thought Luke was feeling quite confident for this, but Luke felt he was quite quick here. So the fact he's in 17th, to me, him and Chris are my surprises of the day so far.
Yeah, no, for me, it's still Koskapen, but the other one I'd have to say is our demotion from Division 1, Dari down in 10th position. I would have thought he would still be towards the top end of this field, but, well, turns out I'm wrong, and he's not even come out of the pits as of yet. I don't even know if he's going to be able to get a lap done. In fact, actually, as I say, that he's just coming out of the pits now, so he'll be one of our final ones to come across the line to start his final lap. But it looks as if we are going to be going on board with Luke, who, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be the first one, other than Marcio, to come across the line to do their final lap. As I said, although Marcio has invalidated, so it's up to Luke to see what he can do. You say it down in P17, and he's a bit of a stick out for this one. We'll see if he's able to improve on it, Jake.
Yeah, he clobbered the curb a little bit at turn 3 there, through 4 and 5 now. Sorry, that is 5 and 6, but 24.5, that's not amazing for the first second. He's up by 10.5, but it's not great. His teammate was doing a low 24. What you checking what RJ's doing? He's just behind 24.2 for RJ, so there you go. RJ's 3/10 quicker than his Brummy comrade Luke in the first sector. Oh, that's the difference between wheel and pad for you. Let's check back in with Luke through the second sector. What's this going to be for him in this intermediate split? He's up by 3.5 tenths. What about RJ? RJ's lost a little bit of time. He's on a 50.3, but that looked really tidy for RJ through the variante alpha. I'm just trying to zigzag between these two laps because they're both pivotal for both drivers involved. I think for Luke, in terms of helping his teammate, but he goes so deep into Rivatsu 1, which is going to hemorrhage him time through the rest of the lap. Goes almost all 4 wheels off track at the exit of Rivatsu 2. It's not going to be a great lap, but he's in the 15. He goes P7. RJ across the line doesn't improve. Koskapen to the line now. He does. He does a 15.3.8. Lifebout isn't improving. Chris isn't improving from the first sector either. Larkin's now gone P5. It's all happening here. Felipe has gone out and he's going to get another lap in, Jack.
Yeah, only just T-Brum's now just made his way around the final corner out towards the line comes the relentless driver. This is looking like a very tidy lap, and up into P2, just up ahead of Koskapen. That is now qualifying done and dusted. First one across the line to finish qualifying is Dash Screen with a 15.888. Sweet Ross retiring from the session as well, wasn't making an improvement as yet. Felipe now invalidating his lap time, so the best he's starting is in P8, and best for Luke is still in P10 as well. Just seeing anybody else out on just a current lap. I think Chris is going to be our next one. Tope, in fact, actually invalidated, as you say. Tope, as I say, he's been a bit impressive in qualifying, but nearly 3/10 of a second down on his time. We've got to look for the German to see if he's able to do this within this final sector. I think pretty much the majority of the laps are all done. Lifebout didn't improve on his time, of course. Marcio has spun out of the exit of Variante Alta, and Tope, in fact, just going straight lining straight into a wall. So it's up to Dari, I think, is the final person to actually do a proper lap and seeing what he is able to do, him and Koskappen as well. And we'll see what Darry's able to do. The German demoted from Division 1 down to Division 2, and it's only P14 is the best he can get. I think that is pretty much all the qualifying runs done here, Jake, other than Rex. I think Rex, in fact, is still looking to go for it. Although, as I say, that is, in fact, just coming across the line just to finish his lap. And yeah, that's all sure of qualifying. Lifeboat once again on pole position. T-Brum lining up alongside him. We saw the very same thing at Canada, but Koskappen in third. I think if he gets a good start off the line, he could cause some issues for these top two.
I think so. Koskappen, he's on a pan, isn't he? He said he's going to get probably a pretty nifty start as well. It's such a long run down towards turn 2. Turn 1, a bit of a kink in the straight that we tend to ignore. So turn 1 is technically turn 2, and I think it's not an easy place to overtake because the track pinches up so much. You've got those awful sausage curbs as well. Yeah, I think Koskappen could get in the miss, couldn't he? But it's interesting to note, isn't it? We've spoken all the way through about the pad wheel comparison, and I think the top 2 is real evidence to that distinction, because the 2 wheeliest tracks we've had so far, Monaco and Canada, the man who dominated Canada is on pole, the man who dominated Monaco is in P2, and here they are, first and second at another wheelie track in Imola. So it's Lifebout from T-Brum, Koskappen is third, Chris is fourth, all those guys within 2/10. Then we've got to look a little further back to Larkin in fifth, RJ in sixth, Matty is seventh, Felipe is in eighth, Rex ninth, Luke 10th, Taupe 11th, then Sen, Scream, Darry, Sweeros has a satisfying time of 1 minute 16.000, and then Coxey, Lix, Marcio and Evans, of course, didn't set a lap after crashing at the Villeneuve chicane on his first effort. And I have to say, I'm liking the look of this grid a lot, Jack. We've got a couple of tenths splitting P3 down to P8 and P9. I think, and this track is a mistake generator as well. We saw that in Division 1. I think this could go any which way, and I am absolutely... excited. It sounds silly. It's a league race on a game, but I'm as excited as I've been for any D2 race this season, having seen the grid for this one.
Yeah, no, I'm with you as well. So we'll see what he's able to do, and see what they're both able to do at the front. Of course, as I say, if Koskappen does end up getting past, then. Yeah, I think, as I say, it's going to cause a bit of problems for those top 2. It may then also allow RJ, may also allow a couple of other guys that were behind. I mean, Chris, as you say, had an impressive qualifying as well. There's definitely going to be a few of these guys that are going to be a bit of an underdog within this race for this evening. So. Yeah, it's just whether they're able to get any sort of moves done. Even Larkin, I know he's usually pretty nifty when it comes to a start, so we'll see if he's able to maybe also cause a bit of issues with the guys out in front of him. Matty as well, a decent qualifying for him. He usually goes quite under the radar in terms of his qualifying and race, but he's usually pretty consistent throughout the majority of the time. I know he's down in P15 in the championship at the moment. I think he had 2 DNFs and 3 of them races he hasn't started. But when the ones that he has raced and actually finished, he's finished in P4, I think P8 in Abu Dhabi, and then P6, if I'm not mistaken, at Canada. So he can be. There are times where he is a little bit. Where he can be consistent, but the majority of the time, I think it's really everybody, or these front 2. I think it's going to be down to these 2 to see how they're going to fare on. Everyone on a set of the hards, other than Lix. Lix always the one I think that we can expect to go for something completely different in comparison. So we'll see what Lix is able to do from the back end of the field. It's worked for him in the past. Maybe it'll work for him again tonight.
It could do. I think the more chances of working in D2 than D1. I'm surprised Evans hasn't done it. I think if he put on a set of mediums, he could cut through the back of the pack quite quickly. I think some people, Coxey, Marcio, Sweeros, those guys don't seem particularly on sold today. We shall see. But the 2 AlphaTauris, as is custom now in Division 2 out front, to be honest, I'm not a fan of that. I think if they're going to, you can overtake 5, 6, 7 cars to get to the front of the field. You just risk him disqualifying someone else if they're not expecting you to come through. Because why would you expect someone to come charging from away from that? I think it's something that should be discouraged, but that's just my opinion. We've got a little bit of a race here with Lifebout being overtaken by a Mercedes of Coxey. Yeah, Coxey's flying through the field and he's starting in P16. I don't understand why people can't. I'm going to get annoyed here. I need to calm myself down. But I don't understand why people can't just stick to their grid positions on the formation. Like, why do we need this performative charge through the field as Coxey just goes and disqualifies himself? We've got a Williams very slow in the back. What's your take on that? Do you think it's acceptable?
Not really, but I mean, we can't really sort of enforce it, to be honest with you, so there's not much that we can really sort of do with that for this evening, but who knows, it could be a rule later on in the future, but I don't really see it, unless it causes actual problems and, you know, people actually get disqualified for it or anything like that. I don't really think there's going to be any problems going forward with that, but it looks like they're all geared up, Jake. I think we're getting ready to go.
I think we are getting ready to go, and once again the game's giving me an atrocious angle, but not as atrocious an angle as Lifebout's got his car pointed. It's lights out and away we go, and they're on the run down towards turn 1, and Lifebout has pulled away from T-Brum. I can't see any cars. There we go, and Lifebout's going to get squeezed. Koskappen onto the grass there. Koskappen's up the inside. He's up the inside of T-Brum. He's past Chris as well. He's into second place as Chris goes over the curb and clobbers into the side of T-Brum. We've got huge damage in the back. Marcio's off the track. The McLaren of Larkin has dropped it out of turn 4. Look at the way Lifebout has streaked away here with Koskappen second, T-Brum third. Felipe is up 4 places to 4th. We've got down the back, we've got Chris, we've got Marcio, we've got Larkin's got damage as well, I think, as he recovers the car there. Up in the midfield, we've got another car missing his front wing. Sweeros and Evans Joshua dicing away out of Toza on the run up to Piratella. Is Evans going to flick this round the outside? I think he is, you know, and he just gets forced off track by Sweeros. He's going to have the inside as we come down. Tackle Mineralia. Evans going to try and force his way through, but Sweeros will not be swayed and keeps holding place. But Evans up 7 places already on what has been a shambles of a first lap at Imola. And look at Larkin up the inside there of that's Sen, and Evans, ignore me, into the chicane, and Evans defends his place staunchly. But at the end of the first lap, a breathless first lap, it's all gone on, but Lifebout's got a second lead.
Yeah, and T-Brum had an abysmal start, and Lifebout had, I think, a start of dreams. He had an incredible start. Koskappen and I think it was Chris, both sort of making it 3 wide, going down in towards turn number 2, as you say, since obviously turn 1's a little king, so to turn 2, I think T-Brum widely backed out that in the middle, and then, yeah, it kind of just sort of spiraled after that. Chris then tried to hold it down the inside into turn 2. I say took a bit too much curve and spun himself around, which then kind of caused a bit of a Constantina effect further down in the field. But yeah, Evans, very good start from him. Same with Lix. Both of those guys up quite a considerable amount of positions, and I say Lix needs to do that on these sets of medium tyres. Coxey, as you say, Chris, Larkin, Marcio and Matty all not having a very good start to the race, as you say as well. Sen was trying to go down the inside in towards Variante Alta, but didn't manage to get that move done. I think Evans was just being a little bit forceful with that, which is fair enough, because I mean, he had the inside for the exit part of that chicane. But yeah, Lifebout, as I say, dream start from him so far. Felipe as well, I'm sure he'll be counting his lucky stars from that start as well. As I say, starting down in 8th and now up into 4th because of those guys making mistakes all in front of him. It promotes him up at least into 4th, and, you know, 1 step closer to being on that podium. He's on that podium-less streak at the moment, but he's back in his lovely little position that he loves of P4, isn't he, Jake?
He is, and he's running very well, this Felipe, in the championship. He's getting P4s and P5s. He is on a 6-race podium streak, albeit he did win the Bahrain sprint. But in the Grand Prix, 6 races without a podium. The longest streak anyone has ever had without a podium in LOE, when they've gone on to win the title, is 5 races. Larkin gets past Marcio into turn 2. So that would be an LOE record were Felipe to win the championship from this position. He could make it 7 today if he gets 4th place and still extend his championship lead, although he's got to be careful of Koskappen and Lifebout, who are in 3rd and I think 4th in the championship right now. Lifebout is just about keeping a second gap there. Evans Joshua is the one on the move right now. He's behind Swee Ross, who himself is behind that scream. That scream looks like a bit of a cork in the bottle right now. Lix particularly becoming frustrated with those medium tyres on. He'll want to get some moves done sharpish. Evans, has he got a good run out of that Minerali? No, he has not, towards the chicane at the top of the hill here. So you've got to be alongside really to make a move there. You can't just send it. But we shall see. We're going to have DRS in effect on the next lap. I think Rex is going to be the one in a position to make a move. We've got another Frustrated Alfa Romeo here, but I think he's going to get this one done on IRT Tope, who is 2 seconds back from Felipe now, and here comes Rex. It's going to be an academic overtake, I think. Watch for RJ though. Can RJ also make a move on the Williams? Williams is going to try tuck into Rex's slipstream, but there's nothing you can do about RJ either. RJ's going to sail up the inside here, turn 2, and he's through into P6, becomes one of the places I think he lost at the start of the race. No other overtakes happening further downfield, although Evans, look at that, very close to the back of Sui Ross as we come towards turns 5 and 6. Sui Ross already derating, and you can see some of these bizarre lines that the Paddy drivers are taking as Evans is trying to go around the outside of Toza here. They're having to take to get the cars around Villeneuve. Such a hard corner. You've got to flick it in and hook it back the other way. Very tricky to do on a pad. Consistently lap after lap, and you're going to see some weird lines because of it. Fast lap the race from Coxey, and Evans is looking very agitated here, Jack.
Yeah, especially coming through Aqua Minerale as well. So there you go, Sui Ross now having a spin out of Aqua Minerale. I think he got lucky by not hitting the wall, managing to keep his
Marcio's gone as well, and Rex.
Taken by his teammate. Yeah, Rex has gone, and did you say Marcio's gone as well?
Yeah,
he has out of Aqua Minerale as well.
3 spins in about 10 seconds there in Division 2. I said this track was a mistake generator. There you go. Luke's the next one looking to make a move on the back of Tope as we go for DRS roller coaster fun again. One of the longest DRS zones in Formula 1 actually, this one. And Tope's got DRS, but he can do nothing about, I presume, a skinnily winged AlphaTauri there as we come towards turn 2, and Luke is ahead in the braking zone, and another place lost for the Williams. Matty gets a move done on Rex as well into turn 2. Rex, of course, making that mistake on the last lap, and then goes very close to the gravel as he loses that place. Evans is now looking to make another move, this time on Scream. Scream's very slow at Villeneuve chicane. Evans is going to go around the outside of Toza, gets shown the door by the Scream, but he's going to and into the wall there goes Tope, and Tope's out of the race. Could that be a safety car? And Coxey's out as well, and that is a safety car.
Away now.
Yeah, Coxey's dropped that on track, so ooh. What's your thoughts on that?
It's good now for the guys that ended up having that spin out of the first lap. Likes of Larkin, Chris, Sui Ross now as well after spin at Aqua Minerale for him, Rex as well. It's all good for those guys now that they're able to make a few more positions back up. But yeah, Tope and Coxey both at the exact same time. Obviously, that's what brought out that safety car. I don't think there was actually going to be one called for just Tope's one, but yeah, I don't think we're going to see anybody in the pits unless they're on a set of the mediums. If they're on a set of mediums, if I'm not mistaken, there's a very close chance, which is Liggs, there's a very close chance he could go to the end, and he's in fact actually just going to stay out on those set of mediums. So probably the smartest thing to do. As I say, I don't think you can go to the end on a fresh set of hards, but it would be very sort of close, and it could be worth the risk, but I don't think he's going to try and risk that.
Would have been a Hail Mary to glory if he had pitted, because it's such a long pit lane here. It's about a 27-second pit lane loss time, because pit exit is so agonisingly long. Licks could have been effectively a net P1 if he'd stuck in a train. But then, you run, as you say, the severe risk of you not making it to the end, and he would have been swallowed up if there was another safety car. So I agree with you. I think that was the right call, but we saw it in Division 3 on the first race of the season. Sagat did a Hail Mary strat, and he pulled it off, but Licks, I think, is thinking of the big picture here. So let's take stock of where we're at. So it's Lifeboat, Coscap and T-Brub. Not really too much change there in terms of positions. Coscap and T on the swap. That's about it. Felipe's up 4. RJ's in 5th, Luke's in 6th. Those guys are all benefited from Chris and Larkin's demises. Darry's had a great start. He's up 7 places. Then the Scream is in 8th. Can he finally hook together and get another haul of decent points, because they are a rarity, it has to be said, in Division 2 for him. Even when I was in Division 2 for seasons gone by, the Scream always seemed to have a mistake in him. Licks 9th, as we said, on the medium tyres, then Sen. Matty lost 5 places. I think he was in that lap 1 shenanigans. Larkin is down 8, but he's recovered a few from that lap 1 madness. Marcio, Chris, Rex and Sui Ross, and then our 2 DNFers, of course. So I think we're going to get a very interesting race here. I think we're going to see the top 3 break away and we're going to see Felipe at the mercy of RJ's is what I think is going to happen on this restart. I think RJ is going to be one to watch when we get back going.
I don't necessarily think so at this point. I mean, from what we were seeing within those first couple of laps, Nolan was doing a pretty decent job of keeping at least a level pegging with those top three guys. So I think because of obviously what had happened in front of him before is why he dropped back over a second behind him. Now he's up behind him very close with this safety car. I think gives Nolan a bit more of an opportunity to, keep up with this top three. I think RJ's going to have a tougher time than what he may be expecting, especially considering he's got his teammate just behind him. Got Nolan's teammate just behind him, shall I say. Barry's up to 7th, and as you say, Scream and Evans, they're up quite a few positions, obviously including Evans, up from 19th on the grid up to now 9th. So we'll see what the Welshman's able to do carrying on going forward. But I think the safety car should be in at the end of this lap, as everyone has done one lap. So yeah, safety car in at the end of this lap here, Jake. Lifeboat, we haven't touched on him too much, but I mean, we don't really necessarily need to. He started off very well. Got away from cost capping as much as he could. Unfortunately for him, the safety car came out, which has probably ruined it for him. But at the same time, I feel like we're just going to see the Iraqi do it again. I think he might end up just soaring off into the distance. I suppose we'll see that on the safety car restart.
I'd like to know what their wings are, because if cost capping's running some low wings, we could be in for a mad run down to turn 2. And Lifeboat's gone on the exit of Ravazza 2 here. He's got a good run, but cost capping stay with him. Go up to 3/10 per second as we come down the main straight. Sorry, everyone is keeping it nice and clean. Evans is looking very close to the back of the screen. I can see on the delta there, and Luke is getting past RJ. So there goes my theory out the window. Luke on the attack, and Red Bull. Who was that? Oh, we've got carnage again. Sen's gone. I'm not even going to try to explain what happened there. I've got no idea. Sen and Lix both had dramatic moments there. Maybe Lix thinking he should have come into the pit. He's left a gap opening between Evans and Larkin. I was chatting out the backside all the way through there. As all Evans hits the back of the screen at Tozer, and he's got to be careful there. It's easy to turn the car around, and if Rye Stewart's report comes Evans' way, he could be suffering later on in the week as well. And he needs to be patient. He's gained 10 places already. There's plenty more in the offing, but I felt it's checked out by a second up front. And yeah, as I was saying, before I interrupted myself with no idea what was going on, RJ, I was tipping him for a good restart. Instead, he's had one of the worst of those people who haven't been spun round.
He certainly has as well, and Evans, here we go. I think he's going to try and do it into the second to last corner now. That Scream on the inside, Evans on the outside, bit of wheel banging between them, and Evans is basically being forced out by that Scream. Now down into P13 goes the World Scream, so not a good start from him. And yeah, Larkin now getting the move done on that Scream, so after all of that, that Scream now down into 9th. Larkin back up into 8th after his bad start as well. Evans comes into the pits and retires from the session. Sweet Ross also getting overtaken by his teammate. But I'll tell you what happened on that restart there, Jake. So it was actually Lix and Sen, both side by siders. In fact, Rex has now gone around out of turn number 4 as well. So yeah, what happened at that restart? It was Sen and Lix side by side through turn number 2 and 3. It's the same situation as what happened in the first lap with Chris. And even then, Chris also did the exact same thing in that first lap. Took too much inside curve, I think it was on his teammate, and sort of had to go across that and to avoid being spun around once again. He's now, of course, up into 12th position, up ahead of his teammate on a fresh set of the medium tyre, but it means that he's going to have to pit again. However, so is everybody else, so he's not necessarily in a bad position if he can get some moves done on these mediums, because he'll just be going on another set of mediums.
Which is why I'm surprised Evans retired, because he didn't have damage, he was just off track. He lost a lot of places, sure, but we've already seen, like, Larkin's gone down to the back and he's gone to hell and back again because he's now running in P8. So I don't know why Evans retired there, because there's plenty of opportunity for people to recover from whatever dramas befall them. RJ is looking the most racy, I'd say. He was a couple of tenths behind Luke. Larkin is close to the back of Darry as well. We've got to be careful you don't run out of DRS, as Felipe has done, but he has got the stopgap of his teammate behind him. Sen retires in the pit lane. We're going to have a few finishes here, as we did in D1 of this race, which had just 9 finishes we're on course for 15 at the moment. We're only 10 laps into this race. We've already had 4 retirees, 2 in the pit lane, 2 on track, and RJ is looking like a move could happen this lap as Marcio has spun out of Toza.
That's very strange though, because that looks like that was mid-corner in that, so I wonder if he made some contact with someone that's then spun him around. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see with that. But Chris, I can see all over the back of the Ferrari of Matti down in 10th position. Not a very good Aqua Minerale from him though, but yeah, we'll see if the Alpine's able to maybe get some moves done. And say he's the one that's the first along on a set of fresh medium tyres in comparison to those guys all behind him. Marcio, I won't be surprised if we see our fifth retiree, at the end of this lap from the Portuguese, because he's just spun once again. Yeah, he spun again out of Aqua Minerale, but DRS is now going to be enabled. Chris is looking like he wants to go for this move. In fact, it won't be enabled as of yet, if I'm not mistaken. No, sorry, ignore it. It is enabled because Chris has now just gotten the move done on Matti. Pullman now down into P11, and Chris, the Bulgarian, now up into 10th position, trying to chase down that Scream, who is a little bit of a buffer once again from those guys out behind. But T-Bum, look how close he is to the back of Koskappen. He's literally sticking with him very nicely, and Luke as well, managing to hold RJ back for quite a decent amount of time as well. So yeah, the two AlphaTauris, they're running quite nicely so far in 4th and 5th. I don't think Luke is going to try and attack his teammate. If anything, I think Luke's going to try and be a bit of a buffer for those guys behind him, just so at least Felipe can maybe still manage a 4th place. If there's one mistake though that can happen, it's got to be one of these front 3 if Felipe wants to try and get himself onto that podium, because like you say, you were spot on with that one, to be honest with you, Jake, as Larkin gets the move done on Dari down towards Variante Alta. But yeah, you were spot on with what you were saying. The top 3 has sort of run away from Felipe. I thought he'd be able to sort of keep up, but unfortunately he hasn't been able to do it on this occasion. I think we're going to see a change for P2 here.
I think he's doing a good job of damage limitations, Felipe, although he can't allow Lifebound Koskappen to get too many points. There is bigger threat now, I think, in the championship at this moment in history, more so than Larkin. And speaking of Koskappen, he's going to lose a position, and there goes T-Brown. Breezes through into P2 as Chris passes Scream as well further back, getting the move done very early down straight. Larkin, that was a good move from him, getting in the very end. I wonder if that was a slow exit that Dari had from Aqua Minerale. I should use corner numbers. I always use corner numbers, but I can't be bothered to learn them here, so I just use the names. Larkin though, he's got to get a push on, because he's now, that overtake has cost him DRS to RJ momentarily, who is still hounding the back of the AlphaTauri. And I wonder if we might get to a point where the AlphaTauris need to switch places in order to protect themselves from the advances of RJ. They're being pincered here, are they? The Red Bull Junior team by the Red Bull Senior team. We've got Red Bull, AlphaTauri, Red Bull, and then a McLaren watching in the wings as Koskappen has stayed with T-Brum this lap. We might even see P2 switch hands once again down towards turn 2, but RJ is the one who looks hungry, doesn't he? He looks ready to make a move. The fact he's staying within 2-3 tenths the entire lap around, he's quick.
Yeah, no, he certainly is, and I don't think Luke is going to give that one up. Though it's just, he doesn't look as if he's getting a good exit in comparison to the other AlphaTauri in front of him, though. But we'll see what he's able to do. See if RJ can maybe go for a move on Luke down in towards turn number 2. I don't think he's going to be close enough. Luke as well, not going to be close enough to go for a move on his teammate. As I say, I think he's just going to play that buffer to him, and now Nolan's starting to create a bit more of a train. Dari, though, dropped off ever so slightly from that train. I don't think he picked up DRS on the back of Larkin after that, so Larkin managing to drop him pretty much in the space of a lap.
RJ.
Here we go, RJ down the inside in towards the hairpin, not going to be able to get the move done. I think he was just trying to give Luke a bit more of a scare, and I definitely like it did something for him, because now Luke dropping off a bit more from his teammate. I think RJ needs to just keep on piling all that pressure onto him to get him to lose that DRS, so then RJ can get that move done on Luke. We'll see if he's able to accomplish that though, Jake, because it's looking like a bit of an interesting one. The two AlphaTauris, as I say, just causing a massive buffer, and now pretty much everyone downwards up to P13 is within this train. Even Scream did start to catch up, but then I think just made a mistake into Aqua Minerale.
Yeah, you can really see the difference between the AlphaTauris and RJ in terms of the confidence they have. We had a helicam shot as we were coming through the Villeneuve chicane where RJ was just setting up that move, and the change of direction the Red Bull had compared to the AlphaTauri was just on another level. And I wonder if Luke's going to make a move on his teammate here, because I think He's staying out in the slipstream. He's going to have to make a move. He's got so much overspeed. RJ's going to have to... Felipe's going to have to let this go. And Luke does take P4. So we've got two pitters in the back. That's Matty and Lick. So RJ must have had a shoddy exit because he was nowhere near there as he came towards turn 2. And Felipe's got to be... Can't afford to give up another place there. But again, look how much RJ closes up through turns 5 and 6. There's nothing the AlphaTauris can do with their analog sticks compared to the breezy wheelie that is that RJ's got to hand, and Marcio's had another spin at Aqua Minerale. He's going to get lapped by his teammate right about now.
Yeah, and there goes Lifeboat now getting the move, or going past Marcio, the stricken Marcio, towards Variante, who's just sort of staying well out of the way, especially considering that he's got to let this whole train go on by, and gives him a 10-second penalty for his troubles with that. So I don't think Marcio's going to be too happy with that one, but there's not much that he can really do. I mean, there's not much he's doing anyway, to be honest with you. But an interesting thing as well here, Jay, Koskappen, I think, might have just lost the RS to T-Brum, because he's just come across the final around the final corner. Yeah, he's lost the RS to T-Brum, so T-Brum's starting to get a bit more of a jog on, and Koskappen not able to keep up with the Mercedes. So now T-Brum's just going to try and drive off into the distance, try and see if he can catch up to Lifeboat, but Lifeboat's just looking like just looking in a league of his own at the moment. RJ still not able to find a move on Felipe as Marcio speeds into the pits and Marcio retires from the session. I think that was to be expected, to be honest with you. But I'll tell you what's a bit of an interesting one as well here, Jake, is that Matty is the first one that's on a set of the medium tyres to go to the end of the race. If I were Chris, I would actually pit for another set of mediums now. I know he's only been on them 9 laps, but he's stuck within this hard runner DRS train that's now led by Luke, and in fact Luke catching up to the back of Koskappen ever so slightly. But yeah, Chris, I think if anything, Chris would need to be the one that makes an early pit stop. Same with RJ, to try and counter the two AlphaTauris up in front of them. Of course, they're going to try and play the team game, as Nolan's almost lost the RS to his teammate as well. So yeah, I think realistically RJ and Chris, if they want any chance of a good result for this evening, they both need to make an early pit stop. Whether it's this lap, whether it's next lap, I think this lap would probably be the better one for them, but we'll see where it goes down, because one of the AlphaTauris might also pit in this lap.
I think they'd be silly not to, but they're... Oh yeah, Felipe's coming in. I think that was massive for them. Felipe had no ERS to hand either. He was about to get swallowed up. He was lucky he would have still had the ERS to Luke, but if he hadn't, I think he would have got swallowed up by RJ and probably Larkin as well. Sweeros passes the screen into turn 2 there, just gets ahead by the breaking point, and let's go on gap to leader and have a look at how that gap for Felipe evolves. He's going to come such a long exit here. You're going to be, it's such an agonising wait as Tope has disconnected from the session. He was out of the race anyway. And where's Felipe going to come out in relation to Matty? Not too far ahead, to be honest with you. And Felipe was near the front end of that train. Matty could put a spanner in the works here, and that has also put a spanner in the works for the race victory if there's another safety car to come, because Lifeboat was picked up a 3-second one.
Yeah, 3-second time penalty for our race leader, so a bit of an interesting one. He's only just gotten the gap out to 3 seconds to be fair to him, as Matty has a massive oversteer moment out of the hairpin. I was seeing if he was going to be able to try and catch up to Nolan, but yeah, the poleman not having a very good lap so far, and goes very wide as well just before coming up to Aqua Minerale. So yeah, T-Brum is in, Koskappen is in, Luke stays out, and so does RJ, so does Larkin, so does Chris. So yeah, they're gonna. We'll see what this undercut is looking like between themselves and Felipe. Of course, Felipe was about 2.5, maybe almost 3 seconds behind T-Brum and Koskappen. Scream also making a pit stop as well. So I expect to see the rest of the hard runners make a pit stop in this lap, and maybe even Chris as well. I mean, he's doing a decent job on those medium tyres. He's just making a few extra mistakes within this lap as well. So yeah, I'll be expecting the rest of the hard runners to be making a pit stop this lap. Scream has just come out of the pits, comes up behind Matty. Nolan 4.5 seconds behind both T-Brum and Koskappen, so he's not exactly had a very good outlap either. But Matty could be brought back into this, to be fair to you, Jake. I think he'd be around where Darian Sweeros are, which is pretty decent for him considering where he was before all those pit stops occurred.
Yeah, he's gained 3/10 on Felipe since he made that mistake as well, last lap out of Tozer. So he's don't discount him from this at all. He's going to undercut Larkin and RJ. I am pretty sure he could well undercut Luke as well. There's about 0.8 per second split those guys. It's going to be very difficult. But Felipe baby has got a penalty through Aqua Minerale. I think he's made a little mistake on the exit there because the car seemed out of shape. Sweet Ross stayed out. Larkin and Chris stay out again. They are going to get undercut to high heaven by this train that is forming behind them. But I think Matty is the one to watch here, at least at the moment, because he seems quicker than Felipe. Felipe's on much fresher tyres. Well, not much, but fresher tyres anyway. So let's see where Felipe is in relation to these guys. T-Brum is going to ascend through the order there, as is Koskap. And look, where is Felipe going to be in relation to his teammate? It's going to be quite close. He's ahead of Dari, but he's behind RJ. He's been overcut by RJ and will have a chance though, because the Red Bull will have some cold tyres through turns 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 and then into Tozer at 7. And if Felipe's going to make a move, he's got to do it nice and sharpish, but that the AlphaTauri just hasn't got the turn in that the wheel on the Red Bull has got at all.
Yeah, and RJ managing to hold on to that position. I don't think Nolan's going to be able to get the move done on RJ now. I think that is definitely position lost unless RJ makes a mistake. Yeah, I think that's unfortunately Nolan losing out that position to him. So P5, maybe even P6 could be the best that we could see for Nolan for this evening. Again, unless people in front make mistakes. Like Larkin, for example, I don't know why he stayed out an extra lap for that, but maybe just wanted a little bit of clear air to show his pace. Sweet Ross is going to be now our race leader. Lifeboat, of course, also did make a pit stop in that lap. So we'll see what the Iraqi is able to do. Obviously, he's going to jump up ahead of both Larkin and Chris. You were saying, though, that you reckon Matty could jump up ahead of both Larkin and Chris. They're both out of their boxes now, and we'll see where they end up coming out. And if it is actually going to be ahead of Matty, and if Nolan's going to be able to come out ahead of them as well, for staying out that extra lap, has it cost them a significant amount? Chris is going to be side by side of Nolan, but Larkin comes out in front of RJ as well. So that's very interesting, Jake, that the overcut has worked for him. RJ, though, maybe going to try and send something in towards the chicane, but not going to be, not going to try and get that audacious with it, but into the hairpin. We might see the Red Bull try and go for it around the outside, in towards Tozer, but it's not going to get the move done. Larkin going a bit defensive on the inside, and now here we go. RJ's going to try and go down the inside through, I think, Villeneuve, as you say, but not going to be able to go for any sort of move before Aqua Minerale. So yeah, Larkin manages to maintain P6 from RJ. The overcut for him surprisingly worked.
That surprises me. I didn't think the warm-up was that bad on the medium tyres, but apparently it is. My OCD compels me to say that it was Piratella. Villeneuve is the chicane before the hairpin. Sweet Ross is into the pits, and let's see where he comes out, because he's gone very long, so might an overcut work for him. Fast lap for Lifeboat. He is some way clear now at the front of this race from T-Brum. The second, Koskauer has been dropped in third as well. The battle for fourth is where it's at, and Luke is at the front of it right now, with Larkin behind him, then RJ. Felipe is going to lose 1, 2, 3 places to a penalty right now, and Matty, with those old tyres, perhaps to just drop off a little bit. Chris is the one on a move right now. Let's check in with our tyres for the first day from getting berated to show the tyres in chat. So let's do that. Chris is on 1 lap tyres. He's on very fresh tyres. Of course, he's made 2 stops today. Remember, Felipe is actually on the oldest tyres in the field, bar for Matty and Lix, who's on hards. So Felipe, he's lost track position in that, and he's on older tyres as well. And he's got a penalty. He's in a tricky spot right now as the AlphaTauri.
Yeah, no, he certainly is in a bit of a tricky spot. So, and like you say, he's also just about to lose out to DRS to those guys out in front of him, Larkin and RJ. Larkin, despite being on a pad also, he's looking quite comfortable around Emilia. I know he does like this track, but I didn't think it would sort of play into his hands. I mean, qualifying in P5, I suppose, it showed his feet with that, but Nolan also qualified in 4th. So, sorry, no, he qualified in 8th. My apologies, he just got up into 4th in the first lap. But yeah, Larkin qualifying in 5th. He's showing his pace around here, which is quite interesting to see. Now he's got to try and fight off the championship leader's teammate, as Larkin, of course, also is in this championship battle with Nolan. So we'll see if he's able to try and get any sort of move done. Obviously not on this lap, but he also needs to try and get a bit closer. The only problem for Larkin though is that he's barely got any ERS in comparison to the AlphaTauri out in front of him. So Larkin, I think, has got to try and pick this at the right moment, and if he can, it might even be the case that RJ could also follow him through. Whether Larkin wants that though, I don't think he probably does. I think he'd probably prefer just for Luke to get out, or just for him to get out in front of Luke and RJ to stay behind him, because RJ's looking a quicker one at the moment, as Matty just watching on board of him out of Piratella. Got that one right this time, picking up a 3-second time penalty right up the back of Felipe as well. And also just realised that Chris got the move done on Nolan as well. So Nolan now down into 8th, looking like he's about to go down into 9th, as Matty is hounding the back of him. As I said, Matty's gone around. And Matty has spun out the exit of Variante Alta, and it was looking like it would have been a decent result for him before he picked up the penalty. And it is actually picked up a VSC, so surely we're not going to see anyone make a pit stop other than Matty. It kind of just neutralises the race at the moment.
It's done Felipe a big favour. It saved him another place. Well, the penalty had in the first instance. The crash has definitely saved him a place. You just mentioned Larkin doing well here. He's clearly his setup's working very well. Whoever gave him that setup is clearly owed a great debt. As ERT Larkin did not have a setup 2 minutes before the lobby was about to begin, so I think he owes a Warzone double to whoever gave him that one. Let's have a look. Lifepout's got a 4-second lead. That gap will come down when the VSC ends, as they resume full speed, but he does look like he's got that penalty just about covered, doesn't he? Seems to be that way. He is quicker than anyone on track right now. T-Brum is comfortably covering off Koskapen as well, and the same goes for Luke. At the top 3 seem very much set in for the day, with 10.5 laps to go here. We're still under VSC. We can get nearly a full lap under VSC, because we're almost at the point where Matty crashed. There we go. Oh, Lifeout's got a drive-through penalty for speeding under safety car, and I said the top 3 was set in. Curse of the commentator right there. Lifeout immediately gets the RS on. He's going to plough on, but that's going to drop him down towards Sweeros and the Scream territory, maybe even as far back as Licks. He's on the exit Variante Alta right now. That hands T-Brum the race victory on a plate. Koskapen will inherit P2. Luke and Larkin and Arjun. This is now a battle for the podium, but a critical error from Lifebout. I say critical error. I made the same mistake in D1. I picked up a drive-through penalty under a VSC when it just changed to, you know how twos and fro's, where it goes up a lot and then comes down a lot. It came down a lot just as it was going to VSC ending, and when they start going down, there's nothing you can do to bring it back up again until the Delta sorts its mind out, and you get a drive-through penalty, and that's what Lifebout, I presume, has done. He's accelerated just at the moment that the VSC decides to start coming down again. Or the Delta, sorry.
Yeah, no, it certainly has. So yeah, Lifebout now put at a disadvantage, and like you say, it's given T-Brum pretty much a race win on a plate. Unless the safety car comes out, which then is going to put Koskapen right onto the back of the Relentless driver. I feel like T-Brum has pretty much been given the race win for this one. Lifebout is now going to come in to serve his drive-through penalty. I'm quite surprised he didn't try and burn a bit more ERS, try and get a gap, or try and get a bit more of a gap to see if he can maybe even keep up with the guys from 4th downwards. But yeah, now unfortunately for him, he's going to see all of these people passing him. He's going to be behind Rex from what I can see. He'll definitely be behind. He'll be behind Sweeros. Is he going to be behind Scream? I think he will be. Is he going to be behind Rex though? Rex has just come across the line, and Lifebout's just come out of the pit lane. In fact, Lifebout's just going to come out just up ahead of Rex. So down 10 positions from where he started. He's going to be kicking himself as the Iraqi driver. So yeah, T-Brum now inherits our race lead for the last 9 laps here, Jake. Koskapen in 2nd. Luke's now up into 3rd, and that's going to give Larkin even more motivation to try and get a jump on Luke as soon as possible to try and get himself onto that podium. And especially with RJ as well, now hounding the back of him, I think he's making for an interesting podium fight here.
Well, certainly could have. I mean, even if Koskapen gets a penalty here, this could easily become a fight for P2. So, you know, there's a lot at stake for these guys to try and get the move done, and Luke looks like he's had enough on this lap particularly. Perhaps he's just having an off lap, but Larkin is so much closer than he has been at any point as they come towards Ravazzo, and Larkin using all of the track and then some just to open up the last two corners as much as he can and get a good run towards the line. RJ's in a good position as well here. They're both burning down the straight. Let's have a look. I think Larkin is going to get a move. RJ's just letting these two go at it ahead. Luke's going to use everything. Larkin's using everything as well, but nothing Luke can do, and Larkin's up into P3. After spinning on the first lap, he's now into a podium position. Only 2.5 seconds behind Koskappen ahead of him as well. Don't rule Larkin out for a potential second place challenge either here. Taking another 10th out there through the chicane. And Chris is hanging with this group well nicely too. There's certainly a lot more could go on here. I don't think the order we've got is necessarily going to be the last one. Lifeboat retires from the session on track. And that is a full safety car, and that is going to absolutely ruin anyone who's got a penalty. Felipe and Rex, although Rex is at the back of the field anyway. This brings the race victory to much sharper focus now, and you'd still put your money, I think, I would, Jack, on T-Brum gapping Koskappen, as he has done up to this point anyway. But do you come in for a set of soft tyres? Let's get the tyre graphic up and see what people are on. 8 lap old, 9 lap old for Felipe is the oldest, 11 lap for Felix, he's definitely going to come in. Do you pit? T-Brum's coming in.
Yes, Koskappen's coming in. Koskappen's following in. They're all coming in.
Not Luke.
All of them are coming in other than Luke. Okay, so this is making it interesting. Chris as well, not making his way into the pits, and neither is Nolan. So Nolan is going to try and be a cork in the bottle for those top two. And also Sweet Ross. Sweet Ross didn't come in either. So that's a bit of an interesting strategy to say the least. And yeah, everybody else is making their way into the pits for a fresh set of the soft tyres. I don't know why they did not come out. In fact, T-Brum's come out on mediums.
Well, I'm confused why Felipe has stayed out. Oldest tyres, and the penalty, and soft runners behind you. He is going to get swallowed up, nom 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 style. I think. That decision. I mean, the decision of anyone to stay, not just Felipe. Luke, Chris, Sui Ross, doesn't make sense to me why they've stayed out. Safety car will be in next lap, at the end of lap 27. We'll have 5 full laps racing, 3 with DRS. We saw what a late safety car did to D1, Jack. I wouldn't expect it to go any differently in D2 particularly. I'm scratching my head here for why these 4 have thought track position is king, because I don't think it is in the situation. Fresh softs are going to be beautiful.
I think it's an interesting one. Both Alpines and both AlphaTauri staying out. I can understand why both Luke and Chris have stayed out, but at the same time I can also then understand why both Felipe and Sui Ross have stayed out. It's so that their two teammates can then try and soar ahead and try and get themselves on the podium. And Emilia isn't really known for its overtaking ability. There's only one DRS zone, which is down the start-finish straight, which there's only really going to be, 2 or 3 times you're going to see that for the rest of this race after the safety car comes in. So I can understand what they're thinking with that. T-Brum chucking on a fresh set of the mediums, though, for me, I think is a bit of a strange one. I'm surprised he just didn't chuck on a set of softs. Even if it was just a used set of softs, it still would have been okay to have used that. But I can see why the top 4 had stayed out. Do I think it's the wrong call though? I think so. I think it is the wrong call, but like I say, I can see why it is the case that they stayed out. They want to try and keep that track position, because it's not easy to overtake around here, and it could work out in their favour. For Nolan, I get why also just to try and cover his teammate, but at the same time he has that penalty, and he's now going to pretty much, I think he's going to finish almost dead last if Matty can't get any sort of moves done either. So yeah, I think Nolan may just about scrape a point or 2 if there's any sort of carnage that goes on behind him. We saw it in D1. Who knows, might see it in D2.
Yeah, Felipe particularly is the one that stands out to me, just because he's got the oldest tyres and he's got the penalty as well. I think he would tell you, I think he would tell us that he's there to help he's there. He's in that position to get Luke a race victory, which I understand. But I think at this point, he's halfway through the season. He's got to think about his own title challenge as well, and I think he's picked the wrong strategy for that. But we are going to get going now at the end of this lap. It's going to be a 5-lap dash to the finish. I hope you're all settled in and ready to rumble. It's going to be Luke, who we've seen already this race, is running quite a low downforce setup, who's going to lead them away. He's got 9-lap-old mediums, 8-lap-olds for Chris. T-Brum's the outlier. He's gone for fresh medium. Everyone else is on soft behind them, and a couple of penalties as well for Felipe and for Matty. So when's Luke going to go here? Coming around the Ravazza 2 now. Safety car's in. It's his prerogative when he goes, and he's gone on the exit of the last corner. We are underway, and it looks like T-Brum's got a very good run on the back of Sweet Ross already here in the slipstream. He's looking right. The track pinches up there. He can't go into the wall. He's going to take to the outside, I think, and have a look around the outside of turn 2. Then ducks back underneath to the inside of turn 2. Still can't make the move. You have to settle for P5 further back. We've got anything going on. Darry was looking. He looked quite close on the delta to the back of RJ, but I don't think so. Koskapen and T-Brum are the one making moves. Look how much confidence T-Brum's got through the chicane compared to Sweet Ross ahead of him. But, as you say, Jack, very hard to overtake. He's getting bottled up right now, but can he get a good exit and get a good run with some ERSs? Oh, Sweet Ross is covering him off very late here. He's on the run up the hill towards Piratella. Almost contact there. T-Brum goes off the track round the outside. He's got to be careful. And Koskapen slips through. Koskapen takes P5. And this is, well, we've kept it clean so far, but this could be absolute mayhem as Larkin off on the grass there makes the move on T-Brum, who's forced off track, and RJ slips through as well, and T-Brum's losing places hand over fist here, as now Larkin's got the run on Sweet Ross down towards Ravazza 1. Look at the gap that's opened up between Felipe and those ahead of him. He is really backing them up for his teammate here. I think Koskapen could be about to pinch a podium place.
Yeah, he certainly could be, but look at the straight line speed that Nolan has got on in comparison. And as I say that though, yeah, Koskapen straight, getting that move done ASAP. Sweet Ross also catching up to the back of the AlphaTauri. 4 more laps left to go. Larkin also, I can see he wants this move done on the Alpine ASAP so he can attack his championship rival out in front of him. Of course, Nolan has got that penalty, so he knows he's going to get a jump on him anyway, but he needs to try and get this move done on Sweet Ross to still have a chance of finishing on the podium for this evening. But it is looking like it could go of the way of either Chris or of Lucas. Larkin going around the outside of Tozer now, around the outside of the Alpine. He's spun around Sweet Ross, and Larkin touches the wall as well, picking himself up damage. And now Darry gets the move done on RJ as well, so the Division 1 demotion now up into P5, up to P4 shall I say, when he gets a jump on Nolan after that. So it's now up to Koskapen, 1.4 seconds behind the top 2. DRS isn't going to be enabled as of yet. It will be when they do cross the line this lap. Chris has done a very nice job of keeping up with Luke. I think Chris might be about to get a first race win here in Division 2 this season, Jake.
I think he could. The D3 champ, he's not done anything of note all season long, as Matty's dropped it on the exit of Variante Alta. He's going to plummet to last place. Worth noting that for Felipe, he's going to plummet like a stone. He's 2.6 seconds off the lead. He's going to drop to P8 right now. He's going to lose 4 places. And that could close up even further if he, given his tyre situation. We've got 3 laps of the race to go. Chris, look how much more curve he's taking through turn 2 than Luke ahead of him. Luke looks a little unsettled, but as Matty retires in the pit lane, he becomes our 7th retiree of the day. And yet again, Luke struggling in those chicanes compared to Chris behind him. Chris even using some curb through Tozer there across Kaplan on the soft tyres, we can't think of what to mention, waiting in the wings as T-Rum and RJ going wheel to wheel on the exit of Tozer. It's going to be a drag race up the hill towards Piratella. I think T-Rum has got this one just about covered off, and he's ahead, and he's in P6 as RJ goes very wide on the exit there. That's going to invite the screen through as they come down the hill, and the 2 Alfa Romeos dueling away in the background as well, and nearly piling into the back of RJW videos there at Aqua Minerali is IRT Rex. But back to the battle for the lead. Chris, he's had a shoddy exit, a very shoddy exit actually, out of Variante Alta, and that's going to invite Koskapen in as RJ passes the screen now on the exit of the chicane.
Yeah, Scream had a had a massive wobble out of the exit of Variante Alta, but I'll tell you why RJ's been dropping places. He's got wing damage. Don't know where he picked that up from. I don't know if that was also a bit of front wing that I saw both flying off at the exit of the Tozer chicane, Tozer hairpin, sorry, when Larkin and Sweet Ross both came to blows with each other. So that's my only thinking as to where that wing damage came from. Other than that, I don't know where RJ really got that wing damage from, but we've now 2 more laps left to go. It's now a 3-way fight for this race win. Felipe is still going to be dropping positions, but it looks as if it's only going to be down to P6. So a bit of damage limitation as Chris now trying to hold it down the inside, in towards Tozer, a little bit of wheel banging between the pair of them. Koskappen tried to hold it around the outside and has done a very nice job in doing so. Chris must have made some sort of mistake going through the Villeneuve chicane and now up into 2nd position. 1 more position, and Koskappen, I think it's looking like he could pick up a race win here for this evening here, Jake. Luke, he's going to be massively under pressure. Koskappen needs to just close up as much as possible and towards this final 2 corners. Otherwise, I think Luke is going to take this race win.
I think he is about to. You know, I think Luke, with his ERS and his straight line speed, could have this covered, even with DRS for Koskappen. I think my money would go with Luke right now. RJ is being an absolute saint for Felipe right now. He has saved him. God knows how many places here. Look at the train the Red Bull is towing around the last couple of corners here. He's going to lose a couple now, I think, down towards turn 2 as we enter the last lap of the race. Felipe has got he's got no one really in completely challenge of him, so let's go back to RJ. Using his ERS, he's got the scream is going to come at him round the outside of turn 2. Has he got enough overspeed? And he's going to sail around the outside, just about gets clipped by the Red Bull, and the Red Bull's going to try to go around the outside of turn 4. That's ballsy with some wing damage there. RJ just covers off the Alfa Romeo's dually way behind him. And look at Larkin in this. Larkin is hounding and hurrying just for anything and something, some points he can get, as the 2 Alfa Romeos are dicing away now into Tozer. Larkin's going to send up the inside and turns around another car at that hairpin. He hits the back of Rex this time, and oh no, Larkin is having an atrocious last couple of laps here. Look at Koskappen though, 3/10 per second behind Luke, and a penalty for Chris. That's going to keep him in P3, I think. No, it's not. Darry has spun round Aqua Minerale. But let's go back to the battle of the lead, because look at Koskappen's exit here. Has he got anything to use, anything he can throw at Luke towards the last couple of corners? Larkin takes P8, Sweet Ross is up as well. But I think a couple of post-race penalties are coming in for Larkin, but Luke remarkably has fended off the strategy. I said it was the wrong one. All those who stayed out have sailed through to top 5 finishes. It's going to be Luke that wins in Emilia Romagna. Koskappen takes 2nd, Chris is 3rd with that late penalty. T-Brum jumps Felipe for 4th. Felipe stays 5th on those tyres that I had absolutely written off. Scream is 6th, RJ 7th, Larkin somehow comes home in 8th. Sweet Ross is 9th, Darry 10th, and I can't remember the last two. I think it's the 2 Alfa Romeos and Rex and Licks, but that was an experience.
Yeah, that certainly was. I don't know what to say about that one, to be honest with you. Luke, he did make the master strategy call. We thought it was the wrong one, but his teammate definitely helped him out for sure. Koskappen obviously getting that move done early on meant that he got that 2nd position. I reckon that last lap, if there was one more lap, then I think Koskappen would have gotten Luke in the end. But Luke, valiant. Well, a valiant win for him, staying out on those older medium tyres. It worked out perfectly for him. Koskappen, of course, finishing 2nd, and Chris manages to take 3rd. And if I'm not mistaken, that's now 2 podiums in a row for Chris. Picked one up last week at Bahrain. Picked one up. Oh no, sorry, he didn't pick one up at Bahrain last week. No, that's just because it was a sort of sprint. So it's actually Chris's first podium for this season. And well, what a podium for him. Of course, picking up the 3-second time penalty, we thought it might have it could have been close with the guys behind him, but still ended up picking up 3rd in the end. Interesting race though for Emilia, but starting 10th on the grid, Luke took the win, which is, that's no easy feat whatsoever.
No easy feat whatsoever, as you say. I mean, I wrote you off the qualifying, didn't I? I said how atrocious his first couple of efforts were, and there he is, winning the race from 10th on the grid. Koskappen 2nd, Chris completes the podium, then T-Brum, Felipe, what a drive from him. The screen was 6th, RJ 7th, Larkin 8th, Sweet Ross 9th, Darry 10th, then Rex, Licks, and then on finishes Matty, Lifebelt, Marcio, Sen, Evans, Tope, and Coxey. And I'm just trying to quickly work out what our championship standings are. I'm going to say, I think our order is Felipe has 133 points, Koskappen takes second. He's now on 109. Larkin has 102, and Luke is up to 93. Lifebout stays on 85. Evans stays on 80. And I think that is all there is of note. RJ goes up the order as well. I think he's now on 80 points. So they are our championship standings, hastily assembled. But we are now very much into the second half of the season. So we've had Silverstone, we've had China, we've had Shanghai. No, that is China. We've had Japan, we've had Abu Dhabi, we've had Monaco, we've had Kota, we've had Canada, we've had Bahrain and Emilia Romagna. And next week we've got Portugal, followed by Mexico, Singapore, Austria, Netherlands, Jeddah, Bahrain, not Bahrain, what am I chatting? Belgium and Brazil. I just got mixed up with my B's there. Did you have anything to add, Jack, before we end out the stream? I need to shoot off, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I'm also the same. But no, I mean, now we've definitely gotten past the halfway point of the season. Nolan is looking like it's getting a bit more comfortable for him, especially with his championship rivals, making a few more mistakes. Koskapin, I think, as you say, is now going to second in the standings. So, yeah, at the moment, the three pad drivers are the ones that are all battling it out with each other. Yeah, everybody else is just making a silly amount of mistakes. Nolan's kept it clean. Oh, as clean as can be, obviously, other than picking up a penalty. And, well, even with that penalty, he still picks up fifth. So, another podium-less streak for him. But at the same time, I'm sure he's not going to be too disheartened by it.
No, I don't think so. I think he'll be very chuffed with that result. He's maximised, I think, what he could have realistically got. Last 6 races now, Felipe. He's finished 4th or 5th. A remarkably consistent streak. And then a 10th place at Japan before that. But he extends his podiumless run to 7 races in uncharted territory for potential LOE champions. And yet he's extended his championship lead as well, or I do believe so. His championship lead stands at... Oh no, he hasn't extended his championship lead. Koskapin has just offset the gap to Larkin to close in. His lead is at 24 points. It was 26. But still, a healthy advantage for Felipe as we go to Portugal next week. Tune in 6:30 UK time with James Head 14 and Old School 3000 Division 1, JS Gamer and Evil Dragon 99 for Division 3, and then same time, same place for us. It's myself and J. Cole in Division 2 and QBR's Packer and Verstappen in Division 4. If it clashes with Saudi Arabian qualifying, I have no idea if it does. You know what you signed up for. Don't whinge in Discord asking for the races to get rescheduled. Just record it and watch it later. It's the wonders of modern technology. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Until then,